always film in landscape mode. It just gives it a much better look. When you film in portrait mode, when creating films, you have wasted room on the left and right. Something else you want to think about is headroom. A lot of people, when they first start filming or even taking photos, they do something like this when they film someone. They center up the head. And what this does is it leaves a lot of wasted space up here called headroom. And you want to think, when you frame your shots, you want to think of something like a tic-tac-toe board. And you want to keep the most important part of the shot in the upper third part of that. And typically when you're filming a person, it's the eyes. So you want to lower the headroom and make the eyes on the upper third portion of the screen. No matter how you're filming. If it's close, you might even cut off some of the person's hair, like this, as long as the eyes stay on top, because the eyes are typically the most important of part of a person, the mirrors to the soul, if you will. Now also, when you're talking about headroom, you want to think about the direction that they're facing. There might be good headroom if the person looks up. Then they do a little something like that, and you give headroom up there. You give lead room, because now I'm looking in that direction. Same thing if I'm looking left or right. If I look in one direction, you give lead room. If I look the other direction, sub lead room. You're thinking of it as you're controlling what the viewers are looking at. And if you want them to look in the perspective of the person, then you help them out with that. You also want to think about what's in your background. If you have a shot like this and the main person's on your left, it could work out. But is the focus on the person behind them or the object behind them? Maybe it's a scary movie and I'm looking through something here while someone's creeping up behind me. Or maybe there's just something in the background that I'm looking for and you want the audience to be aware that it's behind them. So every time you're creating a shot, think of that. And of course, think about your composition. Don't center up like this, because then you have wasted room. And when you're filming and composing a shot, you always want to think about what's in my shot. Everything in there really should have a purpose, and there should be very minimal wasted room. Another thing I'd like to speak about is perspective. When filming or even taking photos, a lot of people take the perspective from where they're standing. Right here, I'm standing up, so this is what I'm looking at, my actual face is looking at. So that's what people typically focus on. However, you want to think outside the box. You have the camera and you can put the camera anywhere. Do you want to show the perspective of someone else? Maybe it's a cat walking around, so you want the perspective of the cat. Maybe you want your main character to be in a position of power, so you film looking up, and now that person's looking down at someone, and they have the power because they seem taller and more larger than life. Or maybe you want them to be in a weaker position, so now they're looking up, and they're looking up to someone and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, boss," whatever it might be. But that perspective changes everything. Maybe you want to do a reveal shot, so you start behind something, and then reveal what it is you're looking at. Keep in mind that you could put the camera in places that you can't go as a person. So maybe you want to put the camera inside a refrigerator and open it up, or a microwave, or maybe even a bookshelf so someone's looking around and they come to the right spot and they close the bookshelf. And since most of us are filming with our phones, you always want to think about where the microphone is. If you're not using an external microphone, the microphone's on the actual phone. So the further you get from the phone, the harder it will be to hear the person, and now it's going to be very difficult. So keep that in mind, because it's tough to pay attention when you can't hear what they're saying. Also, when you're filming, think about the background noise. Where are you when you're filming? Are you in a room that has a really loud machine like this back there? You can really tell the difference when I turn it off and when I'm filming somewhere less noisy. Background music can also really help a scene, but make sure you level it out so the background music isn't too overpowering. You always want to be able to hear what the person's saying.